Welcome, everyone. Really excited to have an all-star cast of speakers to bring to the GroupMe ambassadors participating in the GroupMe semester, folks representing social practices from across the industry. So quickly about GroupMe, what is the mission for GroupMe as a product? We see our mission at GroupMe being to help students achieve more on their campus by giving them the best chat and community networking app in the world. And so we hope that you as ambassadors can help us fulfill this vision, one, by making other students aware of GroupMe, and specifically, your call to action as ambassadors really to help us build better communities on your campus using the GroupMe Campus Connect feature. So with that, we'll turn to our agenda for the social media bootcamp. Mike Tholfsen is a member of the Microsoft EDU team and also, not to be scoffed at, a major TikTok influencer in his own right with 1.4 million TikTok followers. So Mike, take it away.
Great, thanks. And yeah, I work on the Microsoft Education product team. And I'm saying that specifically because some people think my day job is social media. That's actually just a pandemic hobby that I'll talk about a little bit. And so I'm one of the few 50-year-old, I'm saying my age on purpose, gray-haired social media influencers you might run into. So it's not just for young people, it's for oldies too. So I've got 1.7 million followers across a bunch of different channels. TikTok has the most, but other ones as well. And I got into this during the pandemic because I had all sorts of, I work in the education team and teachers kept asking me, Mike, how do I do this? How do I do remote learning? How do I get up and running in my team's classroom? So I started making videos kind of on a whim. And long story short, that all sort of snowballed and turned into a lot of people learning a lot of stuff through these how-to tips, new features, new updates, tips, things like that. And it's interesting because as a product manager, for those of you that know what that is in software, we kind of help figure out the roadmaps and what features we're going to build and the priority and strategy and work with the engineering teams. But a lot of times historically, we'd say, hey, marketing team, now can you go just like make it happen? Make sure everybody knows what we're going to do and make sure they know about my feature and they're going to use it. And, I don't have anything to do with that. And in the modern world, that it doesn't work like that anymore. Like a lot of people would say, if we could only run TV ads, then everyone would know about my Microsoft feature, let's say. Like people would literally say that sometimes. And the modern world that many of you probably know, I get more views across my stuff on a decent day than CNN primetime and MSNBC primetime combined get viewers on an evening, right? Like TV's not what it used to be. That's what I would say. And for many of you in Gen Z, there's an article in the New York Times recently. TikTok is the new search engine. So a lot of people go to TikTok to find out how to do stuff. Search engine optimization, if you've heard the term SEO, there's a lot of stuff about people are going to Google search less and they're going to places like TikTok more. YouTube has been around for a while, but the whole search engine concept. But it's not just evangelism for me, and I don't just only make videos, I engage with the community. So that's a really important thing for people to think about. We had a bunch of new Microsoft Innovative Experts recently join our community, and I went on Twitter and I welcomed, I don't know, many hundreds of them personally. I spent hours and hours welcoming each one, like you see here, right on the left side. And people say like, gosh, why do you go respond to each one of those people? It's that authentic connection, right? Community, authentic. If you're perceived as a big Microsoft machine or a big name your X company machine, people are like, that's just like some marketing bot spewing stuff at me. So trying to be authentic and engaging. And the community recognizes that. Like this is a tweet someone put out, like, yeah, I do. I give a congrats tweet to everyone and people in the community recognize that. And that's how you build community. And, community is one of the most important things on social media, right? It's not just about always blasting out. So here's a number here, and I'm not even going to give the example of the group. The group shall remain nameless. I'll just say a team put a bunch of effort into blogs and official social media and a bunch of stuff, and they put out a little campaign to get teachers to try and sign up for this thing. Doesn't even matter what it is. After all this effort and money, they had 8 people sign up. And then they came to me as an experiment and they said, hey, through your social media channels, could you put out that same sign up link essentially and see as an experiment if we can get more? I was like, sure. It took me like 5 minutes. I blasted it out and we did get more. We got 800. We got 100x more signups with like no effort from me. And that's because you have an engaged, authentic community that trusts you, right? Like when people say influencers, it's not just about influencing in the like scummy sense of the word or whatever you're going to call it. It's like, no, people trust you. There's a community. It's authentic. But I also engage on social media, a lot on whether it's Twitter or working even on TikTok and YouTube. I'm here to help. So as a product manager, I answer questions. I help people solve problems. I point them and I'm helpful. So people here who are going to be ambassadors, like help people. It's one of the best things you can do. Be helpful. Don't always just be blasting in people's faces about stuff. You want to help them, like help them solve a problem. It's also a great channel for feedback. Tons of product feedback. I've gotten so much good feedback that helps us build better products, make the product better, improve it. So it's a huge, incredible feedback channel. Now, the other thing is, at least where I live, there's a lot of Teslas. Teslas are fine, but you know what? I don't want to talk to Tesla drivers all the time. They're a certain group of people. I want to talk to people all around the world from all different backgrounds, from all around the United States, not just the Tesla driving bubble. So it's a way to get out of whatever bubble you're in, because you're probably in some sort of a bubble, whether you know it or not, is get out of the bubble. And social media helps you find a lot more different people. And this is just an example of teachers tweeting out what they were doing with reading fluency. So my team builds a lot of reading and literacy products. And this teacher was tweeting out the pain and suffering of all this reading entry manual data. I reached out to that teacher on Twitter, got him on phone calls, interviewed about his challenges, talked to more teachers. It led me to exploring the problem space, and it ultimately led to a major product update that we built into Teams. And this is used by a lot of people now. And this ultimately, all this here came from talking to people on social media, understanding their problems, their pain points. So this is just, some time went between those two things, but we did do that. And that's, again, talking to people, listening to people. So who's doing it best across? The Excel team is doing great with MVPs, working with the community, engaging. Excel is doing great work. There's a guy named Scott Hanselman who's like podcast, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, newsletters. He does everything. The VS Code team started a TikTok channel. They're doing great work at Microsoft, engaging with the younger computer science community. The Flip team, if you've heard of Flip, some of you I'm sure have. The Flip is sort of community 101. They're masters of engaging and working with the community. And even a high-level president at Microsoft, this guy named Jeff Teeper, who, he's a pretty high-level guy, but he engages on Twitter. He talks to customers. He's on LinkedIn doing stuff. He goes to conferences and engages with people. So there's a lot of people at Microsoft who are doing this in a really good way. And even internally, we have this group called the Superfan Group where, and again, this is the concept where if you want to learn about how to engage with the community, here's a bunch of people inside of Microsoft who are brainstorming on how to better engage communities and everything like that. So that's wrapping it up for me. I'm happy to take questions. And then if you want to find me on all these different channels, here's some links. Feel free to reach out and ping me, ask me questions and whatnot. And hopefully there's a couple minutes for questions.
Excellent. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for being timely.
Sure.
So yeah, this is our first run at this, trying the Q&A tab. So recommend everyone post their questions there. But for newbies, if anyone just wants to raise their hand, jump in and ask a question, that will work too. Any questions?
The Jesus? That's quick.
Jesus, jump in.
How's it going, Mike? Thank you so much
Hey.
for being here. I just had a quick question. So I know that the page, it's grown to a great capacity, and of course, like you said, there's a lot of benefits of being able to communicate to people, and of course, provide that value on social media. But to me, my question, as a fellow creator, my question to you is like, where do you see that going, or what do you think the end goal looks like for you, especially with that channel?
That's a good question. Like end goal. TikTok is definitely changing. I'll say that, right? Like even from 2 years ago, it's quite different. There's a lot of people flooding in. But it also seems like TikTok is adding a bunch of stuff. Like they're really going after Google. Like they're starting to experiment with local, like what's local around me. And so even like trying to find restaurants or what to do, I think TikTok's going to morph a lot from what I can tell, from beyond just like entertainment and consumption to things around me, micro learning. So I've experimented a lot with, for me, it's micro learning is really interesting. bite-sized chunks. A lot of teachers went from half-day training during the pandemic. They're like, I can only take a 20-minute video on YouTube, maybe, to 30 seconds is good for me. And so it's like gotten smaller and smaller into this micro learning. So for me, I feel like that's where I sort of hit a sweet spot. I've gotten a lot of feedback from people saying, I love that I can just like get a bite-sized thing, get value, and not have to like make a big commitment. So, I'm gonna keep experimenting with that. It's interesting, on my YouTube channel, I'm excited, which was a fluke during the pandemic, but I'm almost at a silver play button, 100,000. I think I'm in the next month. So I'm going to keep it that one. But TikTok could be interesting because TikTok is sort of doing a lot of interesting stuff, and it's hard to say where they're going to be in a couple of years.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Excellent. And if I have time for one more, it seems like the Q&A tab is not appearing for all users, which honestly doesn't
just
come
put
as
it in
a
the chat.
surprise. So yeah, just throw it in the chat or raise your hand. That works. Let's see, someone does have their hand raised. Let's see, who is that? Or is that Salhisus? Yeah, feel free to drop those questions in the chat.
Jessica has a question.
Jessica, thank you,
Hi.
Jessica.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
I just have a question. I'm very curious to learn more about your experience using TikTok versus YouTube on reaching older demographics. Like you said, you were targeting to teachers, and yeah, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I started with teachers, but the demographics exploded. I mean, I can see analytics on this stuff, and there's all sorts of ages. And with some of these things, with TikTok, what's interesting, each social media platform is different. Like Twitter is all about what's the latest, newest thing, and people are always like, what's new, what's new? YouTube is more kind of what's new, but also people are focused on finding a specific thing. So they usually know what they're looking for, not always. But TikTok is about ephemeral content discovery. And TikTok works like it's a meritocracy of whatever is popular, that's what they're going to show you. Doesn't matter who you're friends with. It doesn't matter who follows you. It's all about what's most popular. And with my stuff, it's least common denominator. As an example, people don't go to TikTok to find the newest, most recent Outlook feature. But it turns out most of the world has some version of Excel, whether it's Excel 2013, Excel 2019, the newest Excel. So if I put a feature that's been in every version of Excel for 10 years, but it's not that known, that gets super popular. It was really weird. I'm like, it's the reverse of Twitter in many cases. Like Twitter's all new and TikTok's least common denominator, if that makes sense. So it spreads like to more people, and then more people watch it, and the TikTok algorithm blows it up. But another one is, maybe this is the last one I'll close with, which is interesting. So Pinterest, right? People are like, oh, Pinterest is for like this type of person, or it's for that type of person. So I hired my daughter over winter break. Pinterest does videos. I hired her to upload every one of my TikTok videos into Pinterest and category. I pay her good wages as a 13-year-old, but she uploaded all my TikTok videos and categorized them by board on Pinterest, because Pinterest now does vertical videos. And I started getting like 2 million views a month on Pinterest, and I did nothing to do that. I literally had my daughter upload those videos. And then my Pinterest views exploded again like a couple weeks ago, and I had no idea why. I look in my Pinterest app, and if you look in that now, there's a new pivot on the top of the mobile app that's called Pinterest TV. And guess what they show? A lot of vertical videos. They're just like, so it's like everyone's doing the vertical video thing. So it's interesting because Pinterest is a slow burn. They'll pin stuff and then pin stuff, and enough people pin it, it sort of spreads, and all of a sudden it gets like escape velocity. So, experiment on these different platforms is what I'd say.
Thank you.